Hi, Lisa.
Hi. Oh, yes, I'd be glad to. Yes, indeed. Um, well, actually, Richard Shinholster, one of the authors of the book, is a friend of the museums and has been for a while. He has a wonderful store that's been here for a while called the Diaspora Marketplace. And he has um, lots of authentic art and clothing and things of that sort in his store. And since we don't have a gift shop, we send people to his store so that we know that people are getting authentic African uh, artifacts and clothing and things of that sort. And he sends people here to the Savannah African Art Museum to visit us. So I happened to be in the store and I was buying a book, a Kwanzaa book for my nephew, and Richardson House's niece just happened to be there, and she said, "Oh, Lisa, well, you know that my uncle and some of the men they have a book that they put out." I said, "Book?" And so then I learned more about the book, and once I learned about the book and what it was all about, I felt compelled to produce an event to be able to share it with the community. And so that is how the vision happened. I had a vision for an opportunity to present it to the community, and I wanted to find a good team that I could put together, that I could do this event with, where it could be properly presented in a classy, respectable, honorable, intimate, engaging setting. And so, and I came back to the museum and I said, "This is something I want to do." And so they said, "Of course." I am a member of the planning committee for the Savannah Black Heritage Festival. And so we were in the process of still adding on different events. And then in addition to that, we are partners with the Live Oak Public Library, and we do a lot of collaborations with the Bull Street Library. So I thought, okay, we could make this an event for the Savannah Black Heritage Festival, and let's see if we can do it at the Bull Street Library. And both parties were interested, and that's more or less how it came about. So I was able to work with those two entities and for us to be able to pull this together. And I was very happy for those two partners for us to be able to present it.
Fred Orange West. I guess I think Black History, and I'm retired, as you probably know, but Black History, as far as, and I have to go back to what it was when I worked previously, both in different professions, worked as a teacher, worked as a corporate manager with Bell South, and worked with the city government, city of Savannah. Um, I reflected on uh, growing up in Savannah, um, primarily during the during segregation, segregation South. So that influenced a lot of, I guess, uh, my perspective on how I viewed just growing up in the South, period. Personally, right now, I'm 81 years old, so I compare 2025 with uh, growing up in the 60s and 50s, the differences between then and now. So it reminds me a lot of what we went through as blacks during that time, and it seemed like a lot of what we went through during that period of time is repeating itself now. So that bothers me to an extent, but as I tell young people and elders, we've gone through it before and we survived, and I think we'll survive what we're going through now. I think we can support blacks, uh, uh, entrepreneurs by supporting them as a group, supporting them with the products that and services that they offer, uh, individually and collectively. We have to be supportive in terms of sometimes going out of our ways to support them. Sometimes it means we have to go out. We have to go out of our comfort zone to support them in terms of going beyond the neighborhood store to support them, going beyond you know like I said, go out of our normal comfort zone to be supported. And I think it takes that extra effort. We have techniques now uh, is technology where we can be supportive, where we didn't have that in the past.
That's great.
Richard Shenholster. Well, it gives an opportunity to share with the next generation some of the experiences that I've had on my life journey. Well, it's a time to reflect. It's a time to think of those situations that seem so insurmountable, but somehow we were able to overcome them. And so it's a constant reminder that as even though we don't have all of the answers, there are still opportunities for us to move forward. Well, in today's education system, I believe that those teachers that worked in segregated schools and schools that did not have the same kind of equipment and other kind of resources that we see in schools today, and yet they turned out leaders and they turned out good citizens. So those people, I think, we constantly need to remember those teachers. Well, one of the things that I think entrepreneurs need to keep in mind, one is they always seek out relationships with those you want to do business with, and then be honest and fair with them. Lawrence Hutchins, Jr. It impacts my role because I started learning about Black history when I was in elementary school. That time we called it Negro history, but I've been knowing about Black history ever since then. Most recently, I've become very infatuated with it. In fact, I do Black moments in Black history in my church every Sunday. So it keeps me abreast on the history of Blacks, and I try to expose as many people as I can of the facts that I know in reference to Black history. Well, it creates a lot of pride of knowing all the events that I've discovered and learned since I've been researching and studying Black history. So it gives me a lot of pride, personal pride, to know of all the events and situations that Blacks were able to achieve and arrive despite some of the situations that they had to go through. Well, one of the first
I won't say particularly influenced my career, but when I was a boy, of course, Jackie Robinson had just been running Brooklyn Dodgers, and we all were fascinated about that. So we started a team. We called ourselves the Junior Dodgers. But lately, I would say I was impressed by Dr. William Foster, who was the creator and developer of the Florida A&M Band back in 1946. Of course, he made that band very, they were very respected throughout the nation. So I'm a band director, a retired band director. He influenced me a lot. And one time I had the opportunity to just talk with him for 30 minutes, just one-on-one. And that was one of the high points of my life. But like I said, they influenced me a lot. I'm a band director. I'm a retired band director. I was influenced early on by musicians like him and my own personal band director at Beach High School when I was a student. So I decided then that I would go into music education with thoughts of becoming a band director, which I did. And I was a band director for 43 years. And I retired a few years ago. Now, part-time, I'm still at Savannah State part-time, just working private study with the clarinet and saxophone.
James Gray. Well, when I look at Black history and the impact it had on me during my time, you know, and during the time that I was out there working and so forth, I looked at where I came from, and I looked at how educators made an impact on my life, starting with the teachers and the coaches. You know, they were always encouraging, and they always made me believe that I could do, I could do more, to always seek and to work harder. And that's the thing in the Black community. That's one of the things that I prefer to share with young people. And it doesn't matter, the color, Black or white. With young people, you have to be encouraging with them and helping them see beyond what they see in their lives. Well, it means, I was a kid who grew up with my grandparents. I didn't have siblings, you know. My mother and my father was never married, and my grandparents were there with me. My mother died when I was 9 years old, and I became attached to the Frank Callan Boys and Girls Club. And that was my family, and there are a lot of things that I've done in my life that I never dreamed would be possible, but there are things that happen. There were people in my life, like I said, teachers, coaches, others who assisted me along the way and continued to push me, So I'd like to do that same thing. I could try to do that with younger people now, encourage them to go beyond what they think is possible,
That's great.
Well, you have to look at kids where they are, okay? You start there. And you encourage them to be the best person that they can be. First of all, they got to have character. You got to build that character to let them know that you're not the only person out there. There are other people that's trying to do some of the same things that you're doing. And to do that, there has to be something within you that stands out a little bit more than they have, especially in competition. You might have to work a little harder. You might have to run a little longer. You have to sweat a little bit more. But you have to be willing to do that. And in that process, you have to discipline yourself to that. You got to have that character and discipline that allows you to move beyond where you are. Well, when I look around in my life, there were several people that weren't, let's say, professional athletes or something like that. I had a seventh grade science teacher, Al Gray, who through middle school, he encouraged me to do the best that I could do. And I liked his style. He was clean, he was professional, had great character, could talk to anybody. You know, he played a little basketball and so forth, but he was a person that was out there. He started out as a teacher, went back, got his master's, and started working for DuPont. And I'm telling you, he's been all over the world, you know. And I looked at what he was doing, his style, and I liked it. Then I had a director at the Frank Allen Boys and Girls Club. We had several of them. Mr. Ed Campbell. Mr. Campbell saw something in me and allowed me to work at the Boys Club as a youth. You know, I was a youth counselor. Then he allowed me to be the director of the summer camp. Just put me in a leadership role. Now, did I know what I was doing? I was out there, I was trying, you know, and he was there. If I needed help, I could always, you know, call on him, but he gave me the responsibility to do what he'd asked me or tasked me to do. And, you know, it was people like that who helped me. My high school coach, John Miles. Coach Miles was like that. We were fortunate when I came through to have people, teachers, you know, and folks in our neighborhood who pushed you. You know, I'm a Boys Club kid. I've been with the Boys and Girls Club for maybe 60-some years now. And I started there, and I'm still there. I work on the board, you know, and I try to give back, and I try to work with kids and show them people who came from situations like we came from, where we didn't have anything. We had good parents. You know, I had good grandparents, and they were good people, you know, and they pushed me. They wouldn't let me slack off or anything like that. So they helped me tremendously.
Eddie Adams. Well, as an educator, it gives me a chance to expound and enlighten people who perhaps are not, that don't know a lot about Black History Month and Black accomplishments. It gives me a chance to share that with them. And as a musician, it gives me a chance to reach more people with the music. So it's a win-win situation. Uh, One word describes that, and that's pride. That's a very difficult question to ask because I've been influenced by many musicians. I'm a trombonist, so people like J.J. Johnson, like Benny Green, Curtis Fuller, but overall, musically, my hero is Duke Ellington. Uh, in my humble opinion, he's America's greatest musician. As a father, the success of my children, I'm very proud of. And as a musician, my mentees. I have touched the lives of maybe 10 or 12 mentees that have made a significant impact on the music scene. They all have their master's degrees and they are all surviving very comfortably as professional musicians and playing with noted musicians.
Otis S. Johnson. Black History Month has always influenced my work. Throughout my career,
this month was very special because it gave us an opportunity to uplift the contributions and the work of so many of our people locally and nationally. And so it's been a very significant part in my work, both as an educator and as a politician. Black History Month gives me the ammunition to use to deal with racism and inequality, because when people want to say that we are less than and we've never done this and we've never done that, I like to have examples of the ancient civilizations as well as modern contributions to civilization that we have made through the eons, and to be able to confront the issues of inferiority and superiority and all of those other isms. That's where I take great pleasure in being able to use Black history to be a weapon. My intellectual hero is W.E.B. Du Bois. Another intellectual hero of mine is Frederick Douglass. And then I come on down to W.W. Law, who was a mentor, and other people who have really worked hard to both uplift the race as well as to make contributions to this community, to this nation, and to this world. Well, I guess the achievements that I think of most is my ability to be an instrument of change in this community. I was the first African American to desegregate the public college here, Armstrong State College, which is now part of Georgia Southern. I was the first African American to go to the University of Georgia as an undergraduate student and graduate. So I've done a lot of things that have moved the race and this community forward. I was the second African American mayor. I can go on and on and on. So I think I've paid my dues in terms of uplifting the history of this community as well as the history of our people. Well, racism is still a problem. Classism is still a problem. And until we deal with racism and classism, which are intertwined, and the source of many of our dilemmas as a people, we will continue to have to struggle against those two isms and continue to not allow anybody or anything to turn us back.